What are your thoughts on मतलब राइटर्स ब्लॉक? जब मैं अपनी किताब लिख रहा था तो
तो वो वेट ही करते रह जाओगे, वो लॉटरी निकलने
हाँ,
जैसा है कि
since you are working, how difficult it is to write while you are a full-time employee or like say in my case running a startup. What do you think? कैसे हो पाता है मैनेजर? कुछ दिन पहले एक अर्नेस्ट हेमिंग्वे के बारे में पढ़ रहा था and that was an extremely interesting.
fourth book getting successful, 10th book becoming
हम्म,
successful. That can only happen when you're not really ये सोच के चल रहे हो कि writing से I will get big fame and big money is your first priority. Okay, that's a very
good one.
fuck, very good one actually. क्योंकि I think everybody struggles with it. All the writers hit that point. So first of all, I mean, I think there is a phase in everyone's uh, life where you hit these blocks of weeks or months, maybe years,
हम्म,
जब you are unable to write.
हम्म,
So,
हम्म,
and again, I have my individual phases as well.
हम्म,
उसके लिए I think I've come across a very good advice in the past that the best way to go over writer's block is to just write. Write
हम्म,
any garbage. Don't worry about quality anyway.
हम्म,
Just start. Just keep on writing. Maybe
हम्म,
आपका first 2 pages will be garbage.
हम्म,
5 pages will be garbage. 100 pages will be garbage. But then you will kind of get back into your old mojo basically.
हम्म,
Um, there are other things as well. अगर आप मान लो आपका there are other things you can associate associated things that you can do while you are kind of not wanting to write.
हम्म,
So what I typically do is I start reading more.
हम्म,
I start working on my vocabulary.
हम्म,
Um, I also then shift to more world building rather than the actual writing. So I'm still being productive, or at
okay.
least it feels like I'm being more productive
हम्म,
rather than completely ignoring the writing
हम्म,
at all.
हम्म, हम्म,
But yeah, some of these things can help.
हम्म, हम्म। इसमें मेरा एक बहुत अच्छा पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस है कि जब मैं अपनी किताब लिख रहा था तो
Hmm.
एंड सिंस आई हैड बिगन विद द थॉट कि द स्टोरी का जेनेसिस ही था कि राइटिंग अप समथिंग अबाउट माई सेल्फ और वहां से फिर आई सी वेयर द स्टोरी गोज। तो द स्टोरी कुछ थी नहीं तो इट केप्ट
Hmm.
ऑन बिल्डिंग वो बढ़ती गई एंड देन केम अ पॉइंट वेयर आई वाज स्टक। आई हैड नो
Okay.
वेयर टू गो। तो
Okay.
देयर वाज अ पॉइंट इन टाइम जब मैंने फॉर अ फ्यू मंथ्स आई डिड नॉट राइट एंड आई वाज अंडर द इम्प्रेशन कि possibly I can only write if I'm inspired enough.
Aha. Okay.
So since the inspiration is not coming, possibly the book is not within me. Book है ही नहीं. It was
Hmm.
some passing fancy and I have written say 60-70% of the book और आगे मुझे कुछ समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा है. तो मुझे लगा कि शायद जब इंस्पिरेशन आएगी तभी लिखूंगा. तो एक ये भी बड़ा फैंसी वर्ड है ना इंस्पिरेशन कि इंस्पिरेशन नहीं है.
Inspiration. Hmm.
फॉर अ फ्यू वीक्स और मंथ्स आई डिड नॉट राइट एंड देन समहाउ पता नहीं कैसे इट जस्ट अकर टू मी कि मैं एक काम करता हूँ कि आई विल सिट इन द मॉर्निंग फॉर 2 hours and I'll just try something, which is what you are saying. So, and वही किया मैंने, then it just flowed after a few days. तो मेरा भी वही है कि you can possibly fix, and I'm sure each to his own, but I think fixing a time probably also works. So what time works with you better? For example, मैं हूँ, I know I cannot write in the morning. अगर मैं छुट्टी पर भी हूँ तो भी I cannot write in the morning. I can only write in the evening or say in the night. क्योंकि तब मुझे लगता है कि पॉसिबली आई कैन बी मोस्ट क्रिएटिव। तो ये तो आई थिंक वो टाइम ऑफ द डे आइडेंटिफाई करना इंपॉर्टेंट है।
Hmm. Hmm.
और लाइक एवरीथिंग एल्स इन लाइफ यू हैव टू बिलीव दैट इट इज नॉट रॉकेट साइंस एंड हार्ड वर्क से ही आएगी।
Yeah. Yeah.
देयर इज नो अदर वे आउट ऑफ इट। तो आई थिंक दैट इज द ओनली वे आउट ऑफ इट जो मुझे
You've
लगता है।
raised a very good point actually because वो इंस्पिरेशन के लिए आप वेट करते रह जाओगे तो
हम्म।
वो वेट ही करते रह जाओगे, वो लॉटरी निकलने
हाँ,
जैसा है कि इट मे नॉट हैपन इन योर लाइफ टाइम।
हाँ, हाँ।
तो ये बहुत ही अच्छा पॉइंट यू रेज। एंड सेकंड थिंग वाज आल्सो वेरी नाइस दैट आपने टाइम फिक्स कर लिया है तो यू हैव
हम्म,
टू
हम्म,
राइट इन दैट टाइम। आई मीन एटलीस्ट
हम्म,
आप यू आर मेकिंग सम प्रोग्रेस।
हम्म,
आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि
हम्म।
हो सकता है जो आप 2 घंटे बैठे उसमें फॉर 1 hour 58 minutes जो
नथिंग
निकल के
हैपेंड।
आया दैट वाज नथिंग यूजफुल, बट जो 2 मिनट था even
हम्म,
that is worth it, even that is
हम्म,
worth it। And that brings me to that other point that you should have lot of patience. ये writing ऐसा चीज है, ऐसा नशा है जो पेशेंस चाहिए इसके लिए. अगर आप
पेशेंस चाहिए.
ये सोच के चल रहे हो कि राइटिंग से आई विल गेट big fame and big money is your first priority, and you don't really like writing, then it will you will not get that inspiration even if you have that $1 million book idea. Ideas are cheap, right? I mean, ideas,
Yeah.
everyone has those ideas. There are 8 billion people, I'm sure everybody at least has this
Yes.
one idea for a nice book, right? So ideas are cheap, ideas are available, but it's about showing up and liking what you do. If you really like writing, and writers ka, if you look at successful authors, they just kept on writing. I mean, some of them had fourth book getting successful, 10th book becoming successful. That can only happen when you're not really chasing that, say, end goal of becoming a best-selling author or some kind of this. It will happen when you're driven by yourself to write something, and that process itself is your reward. Then it will work magic for you.
अभी मैं कुछ दिन पहले एक अर्नेस्ट हेमिंग्वे के बारे में पढ़ रहा था, and that was an extremely interesting take on how he wrote. I don't know how true that is, but Ernest Hemingway is, I think, one of the writers जो कि बहुत, he used to write very pithy, बहुत short लिखता था. मतलब it was extremely precise. ज़्यादा flowery words नहीं होते थे, long sentences नहीं, extremely active voice, very short sentences. तो उसके बारे में ये कहा गया था कि what he used to do was he used to sit for, say, some time, and when the flow would start coming and he will be able to write well, he will write probably for some time, but then he'll stop at a stage where he thought कि हाँ, now I'm in a very good zone, so he'll stop there, और वो उस दिन लिखना बंद कर देगा, and he'll then resume the next day, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि now he has got that, that hook or whatever you might call it, so that next day it will not become so difficult for him to write again.
I heard of that. In fact, I tried this and it works really well. So जब मुझे पता है कि next paragraph क्या होने वाला है, I'm very sure about it, I will actually leave my writing at that point, क्योंकि next morning I want to complete it. और जब मैं बैठ गया हूँ एक पैराग्राफ लिखने के लिए, probably I'll extend it to 3 or 4 or 5 paragraphs.
अच्छा,
so that was extremely useful advice. Yeah.
अच्छा, but I don't know, I'll be extremely मैं शायद बहुत डरूंगा ये करने में, क्योंकि I don't know कल हो सकता है वो ना है वो एक पैराग्राफ, which I probably might have thought, but it might not come.
Right. So there are two things. मतलब इस particular instant के लिए एक होता है कि the actual writing part, and then what is that you want to accomplish in the next chapter or next few paragraphs. So I typically keep that as a note कि मेरे characters, for example, are at a place A. They have to get to a place B by doing these 2 or 3 things, and let's say one of them gets lost or whatever. So before I start writing the whole thing, there will be 3 or 4 sentences कि ये next paragraphs में ये मुझे action achieve करना है. So I will keep a small bracket for myself, and I'll keep a note for myself. So जब मैं next time बैठूंगा तो I'll know कि okay, what I was thinking, and so that helps for me at least.
Just a last thought on this. Is it hypothetically possible कि किसी को write a blog now? If suppose you have completely thought through everything before writing.
Impossible.
Impossible, no?
It's impossible. I don't think. So again, I'm a very, I would say, I still call myself a beginner. I have written 50 odd short stories, one half-published novel, as you coined the term, which was a really interesting term. So I'm a very big beginner. But even when I look at these big established authors and not their writing, if you read about them or their process, everybody was either stuck at some point or they were, and maybe I can take a specific example. J.K. Rowling, she had this instance where she wrote one chapter like 15 times. One particular chapter she was stuck, and she thought whether she should eliminate the chapter and take a shortcut or something. So when these big people can face, those hurdles, then obviously, and that hurdle is part of that, I would say, the process. अगर ये hurdle नहीं आ रहे होते, या writer's block नहीं आ रहा होता, या whatever these other things that we talked about, then it wouldn't be such a rare thing or a talent. People will not recognize that as a talent, right? I mean, everybody, जैसे आप सब लोग job में हैं, हम लोग रोज 50 ईमेल लिख रहे हैं और 50 ईमेल हमको मिल रहे हैं, दैट्स डजंट क्वालिफाई एज राइटिंग. अगर कोई बोलता है कि मैं राइटिंग करता हूँ, obviously nobody counts those emails as writing because everybody is writing it. So I would say the more difficult and the more ambitious your story is, you will face those big challenges. मतलब आपको हो सकता है कि अगर आप 10 कैरेक्टर के साथ लिख रहे हो, then you need to understand हर कैरेक्टर का everything, right? The everything about that character. So the bigger your universe, bigger the world, bigger the scope of story is, it becomes exponentially complicated. In fact, there's another anecdote I remembered about J.R.R. Martin. People were complaining to him कि Game of Thrones के नए books में इतना time क्यों लग रहा है and everything. So he himself said कि I have so many characters that he maintains like a Excel sheet or somewhere कि किस character का eye color क्या था, manner of speaking क्या था, physical appearance क्या था, because even he himself who has been writing the same thing for like 20 plus years now, 25 years, even he keeps on forgetting some of these nuances. So yes, I mean, bigger the ambition, bigger the effort, bigger the dedication.
Right. And like just by extension, since you are working, how difficult it is to write while you are a full-time employee, or like say in my case, running a startup. What do you think? कैसे हो पाता है manager? What is the best way to keep on writing?
That's again a very brilliant question. I don't think I have been able to solve it completely, and I'm sure you also have your own.
Struggled miserably at it. Yeah.
Right. But there are things, especially again, you have to decide whether you really love writing, and I think these kind of life situations test you, and not just job. It could be your life situation, your family, your personal life, and so on. So you will have all those kind of challenges, but you will always find time to write. There are few again tips and tricks that I use. So for example, my family knows that when I'm in the zone, not to disturb me. That's one. Number two, which you talked about, identify those specific times which you are most creative or when you are most productive, and then you preserve those times from anything else. It could be your disruption in office and so on. And number three, I will say again, this is another thing which I also struggle with, but we spend so much time on distractions and kind of, things that eat up our time, and this kind of adds up. So you have to kind of make time to writing. Of course, I think for every working professional, there is always this thing that agar मैं full time writing कर पाता, तो it would have been a lot better. And that's true. There is no running away from that. कि अगर आप truly, if you're a writer at heart, then you will always feel 8 hours a day during the day you are at the office. But don't let that be an excuse to not write. That's the only thing I will say. You still have mornings, you still have evenings. Sometimes even during the, let's say, during the office in your, let's say, breaks, you get a spurt of an idea. Nobody stops you, and everything is accessible online everywhere. So you might have your Google Docs or any kind of online document. You can just email to yourself few things that you suddenly remembered, and it helps. And from a personal experience, I did take a sabbatical for 1 year in order to discover that, hey, am I really, if I removed all these excuses from my life, will I continue to do writing full time? Will I not get bored or whatever? But that 1 year when I took that sabbatical, that was again, of course, a risk in terms of your financial risk and everything. But at least that 1 year helped me to discover myself that this is something I want to pursue all through my life, with or without a job. So yeah, it's not easy, but that also tests your perseverance, your patience, and I think it's overall you can manage.
Yeah, I think it ultimately boils down to discipline. कि आप कितना अपनी लाइफ को कंपार्टमेंटलाइज कर पाते हो, how smart you are at doing it, and if you can do it, I think you can write. Ultimately it is the drive. The drive is like sufficient or good enough, then, and if you can find out time, then I think it can be done. And possibly if you're not able to find the time out, then probably आपका fire इतना strong नहीं है, then it's okay. You might not as well write, right?
That's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And you're right for yourself. I mean, imagine
yeah.
if you're, I think the one good thumb rule is ki start imagining that whatever you're writing, not a single soul will ever read
Mm,
that word ever. That's a little
mm,
bit of a pessimistic approach.
mm,
But if you imagine this and still you like writing, still like
mm.
talking to your that world building part of it. It's like
Mm,
playing with Lego, right? I mean, आप Lego
right.
कुछ आपने बनाया, right? And you
Mm,
felt happy about something that you
mm,
created,
mm,
even when it's not, it's obviously it's not, you're not selling it to somebody or whatever. But then you felt happy about it. Similar is the writing thing. You wrote something, you liked it. You can put it. You can maybe start small, putting it up on a blog with your family and friends,
mm,
and sometimes you might get some feedback from even the strangers if it's online. So it's all step by step. But the first step is to complete it. I mean, you cannot get a feedback or a critique on an empty page. So the first step is, of course, to finish it, feel happy about it, and then let's see, throw it in the open world. Let's see what happens.
mm. Talking about throwing it to the open world, publishing के बारे में, what do you think is the scenario right now? And we have discussed about it at length.
Right.
So कोई भी जो नया writer है, who is writing his or her book,
Mhm.
what are the different options that the person might have?
Yeah, I think this is the beauty of, I think, this era where everything is digitized, because
Mm,
number one, you don't have to rely on these, let's say, old ways of publishing or a printed on a printed paper.
mm,
You can always publish your stuff either even in parts, right? People are
mm.
writing omnibus, which is basically few chapters at a time you can publish. Martian is a good example. Martian is an excellent example,
Okay.
by the way. So one mode, of course, is that you put it online. If you want to become a little bit more formal while putting it online, you can convert it into a Kindle ebook and
Mm,
do kind of a self-publishing
mm,
if you want. And that process is really quick and really easy. You can, if you
mm,
finish something today, tomorrow it can be online for millions of people to see and enjoy, and
mm,
so on. And for new writers, that's a really, really viable way to at least get your work
mm,
out in the
mm,
open world. Um, in terms of traditional publishing, of course, you have to be uh, more patient, because it usually goes through lots of steps.
mm,
So the easiest way again is to go to multiple publishers' websites, especially the ones who are the best in your genre.
mm,
So if you have written a book, what are the most famous books in that genre that you see in the market?
mm.
And then see who were the publishers for those books, and then go to
Okay.
them
Mm,
and approach them. Uh, every publisher will have a different set of criteria to submit, so you have to
mm,
do some minor effort in changing your script and changing your formatting, etc., to be allowed to submit the book to the publisher. And so that's the second channel, I would say. The third
mm,
channel is going through the agents. So in
mm.
fact, a lot of traditional publishers only accept their books through the agents. So you have to find good agents, and again, that's probably more relevant for US and
Yeah.
those economies where you have this proper ecosystem around it.
Mm,
So आपको अगर if you get accepted by an agent, that also becomes a victory, because
mm,
these agents can make sure कि आपका book कोई पढ़ रहा है for sure.
mm,
In India, I think this ecosystem is still in a nascent stage.
mm,
So, but it's coming up now. I see a lot of agents also in the Indian market.
mm, mm,
So these are the three main channels
mm,
that you can work through.
mm, mm,
And of course, once you have let's say a dedicated audience through your blog or through any other medium, like a lot of YouTube channels have these writers, and they create their own bank of readers, then you can always work towards capitalizing on the existing reader base, and then go through any of these three channels.
Yeah, I hope our video reaches a few people who might have some more ideas, which probably we don't have right now. But who knows, we might be able to build a community someday. जहाँ पे probably we'll also get some more ideas on how books can be published. Yeah. So chalo, now with that we come to the last segment of this discussion with you for today. That is, so I think just trying to kind of summarize. So while growing up, who have been like the most influences in your life when it comes to writing? कौन से authors हैं ऐसे which you like really looked up to या अच्छे लगते हैं या who have also in a way shaped up your writing?
So growing up, we used to read a lot, and again, a typical, at least 90s, it was very common growing up in a Hindi heartland. We used to read a lot of comic books, Hindi comic books, and Anupam Sinha. Anupam Sinha, so mainly on the Dhruv, Nagraj, these kind of characters. So Anupam Sinha was one of those writers, and again, we can always, some people always dismiss comic book writers as not writers or authors or whatever, but imagine that era in late 80s and 90s, jab there were no information was not easily available, and still we were reading things like black holes and interstellar travel and stuff like that. When you read some of those comic books of those time, and you're reading a lot about sciences, so that was of course the first interaction with the storytelling and creating different worlds. Later on, of course, I got introduced to, especially in the science fiction domain, I got introduced to this holy trinity of the three classic authors, which was Isaac Asimov, Arthur C. Clarke, and Robert Heinlein. So in Tino ke, like most of the works I have read, so it was very, very delightful. And oftentimes these were really, I mean, it was really a good mix of plot, character, and all these elements that we talked about. And then in terms of modern authors, if you see, again, a lot of fantastic authors. I really like Greg Egan. He is what called hard sci-fi. So basically, he writes about really, really complex topics in a fictional storytelling way. So for example, writing about special relativity, general relativity, curvature of space-time, those kinds of things, which also coincides with my other hobby. So I really love reading Greg Egan. Then we have the series Three Body Problem series by Shishin Liu. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that name wrong. So Three Body Problem, which is also now a Netflix series. It was pretty brilliant. Then Orson Scott Card, Larry Nivan. So you might have heard books like Ringworld and Rendezvous with Rama, Stranger in a Strange Land. So a lot of these books come from this bouquet of writers, and of course there are many, many more. Probably I'm not recalling everyone, but yeah, science fiction, these authors really have created things, sometimes recently, sometimes really long ago, and we are those imagination we are actually seeing getting culminated either into reality or at least into other medium now, like almost like sometimes after 80 years. To give a specific example, we read about Isaac Asimov, who actually coined the word robotics. He created these intelligent robots in stories, and there were a lot of stories around robots with the three basic laws of robotics and so on. And he created he toyed with all kinds of ethical and this kind of ethical questions, and we are now seeing it now when we see AI and we are asking the same ethical kind of questions which he wrote in his book like 80 years ago. So it's really interesting and really, I would say, validating in the sense that, okay, when you're reading all these things, it's kind of opening up that creative thinking that might become true in some far future. So, and in the end, at the end of the day, it's basically fun. Yeah, I think I gave a long answer to a short question,
नहीं नहीं
but
इट्स यही था पर एंड लाइक योर राइटिंग वुड बी इन्फ्लुएंस्ड बाय क्योंकि मेरा ही मानना है कि एट सम लेवल वी काइंड ऑफ नो एट सम लेवल वी कॉपी अ बिट टू बिगिन विद आवर फेवरेट ऑथर्स राइट वो राइटिंग स्टाइल आ ही जाती है तो ऐसा कोई है ऑथर लाइक हुज राइटिंग स्टाइल वेरी स्पेसिफिकली यू लाइक और
so
यू
I
माइट
really love Arthur C. Clarke. I
ओके
love Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov. So, I mean, I'll not say copy. I hope I can probably be 5% or 10% of what they were. So that will I call a big success. So the clarity of thinking and the way they communicate those complex ideas into a fictional setting through their characters.
इन माय केस मेरे केस में ऐसा हुआ कि आई वाज मैं बहुत ऑथर्स का वो नहीं रहा बट मेरा जो इंटरेस्ट था वो मोस्टली हमेशा वाज इन ड्रामा तो अगर इफ इट्स अ बिग ट्रेजेडी आई विल मोस्टली लाइक इट तो मुझे ध्यान है जो मेरी सबसे फर्स्ट बुक थी जो शायद एक बिग बुक कही जा सकती सो इन माय केस आल्सो इट वाज द सेम चाचा चौधरी बिल्लू सुपर कमांडो ध्रुव फेमस फाइव सीक्रेट सेवन नो ऑल दोस काइंड ऑफ बुक्स फिर आई रिमेंबर व्हेन आई वाज इन 9th और 10th आई रेड सिटी ऑफ जॉय जो डोमिनिक लेपेयर ने लिखी थी सो and it was not a I don't I think it was not age appropriate I would say 9-10 में I don't know but it was a wonderful book so that really opened my eyes and then उसके बाद मुझे लगता है अगर सारे authors में देखूं तो probably single author जो मुझे सबसे अच्छा लगा वो W. Somerset Maugham English writer of Human Bondage The Moon and Sixpence The Razor's Edge तो ये सब काफी अच्छा लगा फिर I think एक टाइम था जब मैं मिलन कुंदेरा पढ़ रहा था I went into slightly philosophical kind of books सातरे भी पढ़ने की कोशिश करी है रेड अ बिट अल्बर्ट कैमू पढ़ा अभी रिसेंटली मैंने एक दो इंडियन ऑथर्स हैं वो भी बहुत अच्छे जैसे मनु जोसेफ आई एम नॉट श्योर इफ यू हैव हर्ड ऑफ हिम बट ही इज अ वेरी
heard of him.
या सो आई हैव रेड वन ऑफ हिज बुक व्हिच इज ग्रेट द इलिसिट हैप्पीनेस ऑफ अदर्स और एक का मैं नाम अभी भूल रहा हूँ एम एंड द बिग रूम आई एम फॉरगेटिंग द नेम राइट नाउ बट दैट्स आल्सो अ ग्रेट बुक तो हाँ किताबें तो लाइफ लॉन्ग पढ़ी हैं बट देन देयर हैव बीन आल्सो फेजेस वेयर आई हैव नॉट रेड एनीथिंग ये भी हुआ मेरे साथ बट हाँ आई हैव नॉट रेड साइंस फिक्शन एज सच आई कांट इवन रिकलेक्ट पॉसिबली अ सिंगल बुक जो मैंने साइंस फिक्शन की पढ़ी होगी तो यहाँ पे हम दोनों के वर्ल्ड्स कोलैप्स नहीं करते हैं मतलब we don't are on the same page but हाँ so that is how I have been तो authors बहुत नहीं कहूँगा हिंदी में like who have been influences your good influences हिंदी
Premchand hands down Premchand was yeah Premchand was good I also recently read I'm forgetting the name but book का नाम था आपका बंटी so I don't really I'm not too much into emotional or drama kind of things but ये जो आपका बंटी था that was really heart wrenching and I would say Premchand के I think a first author who kind of who was I mean at that emotional level who touched me so it was pretty good pretty amazing
आई थिंक एक हमारे स्कूल के टाइम में हरिशंकर परसाई की काफी स्टोरीज भी होती थी वो भी बहुत अच्छा लगता था एक्सट्रीमली ह्यूमरस एंड आई थिंक मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मैं भी एंड आई थिंक यू आल्सो आई थिंक सिंस आई एम श्योर वी बोथ आर फ्रॉम कॉन्वेंट स्कूल्स तो हमारे जमाने में थोड़ा एक वो था कि इंग्लिश पढ़ना जरूरी है इंग्लिश में लिखो तो ज्यादा अच्छा है एंड हेंस मुझे लगता है कि बहुत सारा हिंदी का अच्छा लिटरेचर है जो मैंने नहीं पढ़ा है दो आई एम रीडिंग स्लोली मतलब धीमे धीमे पढ़ रहा हूँ मैं लेकिन आई स्टिल फील कि हम लोगों ने मैंने भी नहीं पढ़ा एंड आई थिंक even you have not read a lot of Hindi,
correct.
So that is what I think we have all missed in our life. So मैं जैसा भी प्रेमचंद की किताब अपनी बड़ी बेटी को पढ़ने के लिए दे रहा था and she read a page or two वो बोलती बहुत टफ है ये तो मुझे लगा कि टफ तो नहीं है तो I think that is also one thing कि I think आज की जो next generation I think they also I think probably I think the onus is on us कि हम उनको पढ़ाएं कि भाई हमने तो शायद हिंदी बहुत अच्छी नहीं पढ़ी as much as we should have but you should go for it.
ये आपने बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट टच किया है तो हिंदी अगेन आई राइट इन हिंदी एज वेल तो मैंने मेरा एक ब्लॉग है एक तोला मिट्टी इस पे
अच्छा।
भी 8 या 10 हिंदी कहानियां हैं,
हम्म
खासकर 90s के जमाने की।
हम्म
तो
हम्म
हिंदी का मैं एक बोलूंगा थोड़ा सा ये डिसअपॉइंटिंग आई वुड से, मुझे लगता है एवोल्यूशन अभी ये हुआ है कि जैसे मैं हिंदी न्यूज़पेपर्स भी पढ़ता हूँ, घर जाता हूँ तो यहाँ क्या स्विट्जरलैंड में तो मुश्किल है, मैं
हम्म
घर जाता हूँ तो मैं हिंदी न्यूज़पेपर वगैरह पढ़ता हूँ।
हम्म
तो वो जो शब्दों का जो आप यूज है, वो इवन हम जैसे बात कर रहे हैं राइट, ये भी है
इंग्लिश में
हमारे
वर्ड्स आ
सामने, हम
जाते
लोग
हैं।
देख रहे हैं, हम लिख के
हम्म
वर्ड आ जाते हैं। और
हम्म
ठीक है, मुझे लगता है बोलने के लिए तो फिर भी चल जाता है, बट अगर राइटिंग में अगर आप वैसे वर्ड लेके आ रहे हैं,
हम्म
अगर मैं हिंदी न्यूज़पेपर की हेडिंग्स पढ़ रहा हूँ कि
हम्म
बच्चों ने एग्जाम की तैयारी करी,
हम्म
एग्जाम, दैट्स नॉट अ
हम्म
हिंदी सेंटेंस, वो आप
हम्म,
परीक्षा बताइए।
हाँ हाँ।
तो वो थोड़ा सा मुझे डिसअपॉइंटिंग लगता है। पर दूसरी तरफ ये भी है कि इंटरनेट के आने से अब थोड़ा सा जो प्रचार प्रसार हुआ है हिंदी का, जो लोग लिखते थे
हम्म
और
हम्म
बस उनकी किताबों में रह जाता था या डायरियों में रह जाता था, अब वो आई थिंक ऑनलाइन आना शुरू हुआ है।
हम्म
और कुछ कुछ वेबसाइट्स भी आ गई हैं, तो
हम्म
मैं भूल रहा हूँ, नाम भूल रहा हूँ, बट
हम्म
देयर आर कपल ऑफ रियली
हम्म
गुड वेबसाइट्स टू यूज,
हम्म
एंड नॉट जस्ट हिंदी, इट कुड बी योर other, especially in India, we have so many languages. So
हम्म
there's so much richness, so much vocabulary, so much history behind it.
हम्म
तो वो थोड़ा सा लॉस्ट हो रहा है, बट
हम्म
आई थिंक आई डोंट सी दैट एज अ
हिंड्रेंस मुझे।
कॉन्ट्रोडिक्शन, आई डोंट सी दैट एज अ काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कि
हम्म
कई लोग बोलते हैं कि यार आप इंग्लिश भी लिख रहे हो और हिंदी भी लिख रहे हो, एंड आई
हम्म
से कि इट्स अ मीडियम, एंड दोनों मीडियम में दो अलग अलग चीजें हैं, इट्स वेरी वेरी पॉसिबल।
नहीं, और इंटरेस्टिंग बात ये है कि हमारे हिंदी सॉन्ग्स में लाइक गुलजार साहब तो हिंदी के लिरिक्स
हम्म
लिखते हैं उर्दू के, और उसमें इंग्लिश के वर्ड्स भी होते हैं, तो प्रोबेबली क्योंकि मैंने भी हिंदी इसलिए नहीं लिखता मैं कई बार, क्योंकि मेरे को लगता है कि मैं हर वर्ड का हिंदी नहीं ढूंढ पाऊंगा और शायद पढ़ने वाला समझ भी ना पाए। बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट शुड बी एन हिंड्रेंस। आप कुछ इंग्लिश के वर्ड्स भी यूज कर लो, कोई बात नहीं, बट एटलीस्ट यू विल स्टार्ट राइटिंग राइट, एंड प्रोबेबली एज यू विल गो अहेड आप हिंदी के वर्ड्स भी ढूंढ लोगे उनके लिए, एंड प्रोबेबली द
बिल्कुल
ऑडियंस
बिल्कुल
विल आल्सो नो बी बिल्ट अराउंड दैट, जो समझेंगे आएंगे और पढ़ेंगे।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, आई मीन ऐसा नहीं है कि, और ये मुझे कई बार क्वेश्चन आता है कि क्या आप हिंदी में फिक्शन नहीं, साइंस फिक्शन या ऐसे कुछ कॉम्प्लेक्स टॉपिक्स लिख सकते हो, नहीं लिख सकते हो?
हम्म
आई पॉइंट देम टू चंद्रकांत संतति,
हम्म
राइट?
हम्म या
उसके अंदर जो एलिमेंट्स थे लाइक अय्यारों के और जादू, इट वाज ऑलमोस्ट लाइक साइंस फिक्शन एंड वेरी क्लेवर वन, ऐसा भी नहीं था कि
हम्म
इट वाज अ वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड स्टोरी, वेरी क्लेवर स्टोरी, और वो
हम्म
हिंदी, अच्छी खासी हिंदी, मतलब गाढ़ी हिंदी में लिखी हुई थी एक तरह से।
राइट राइट राइट।
तो वो सारे लिमिटेशंस और एक्सक्यूजेस हम लोग अपने ऊपर थोपते हैं, आई डोंट थिंक कि कहीं पे कुछ आप, यू फाइंड योर इंटरेस्ट हिंदी इंग्लिश जॉनर, योर इंटरेस्टिंग जॉनर, एंड देन यू कैन अकम्प्लिश वट एवर यू
या
वांट
एज
विद
लॉन्ग एज यू
प्रैक्टिस,
राइट इट इज ग्रेट।
एज लॉन्ग एज यू राइट इट्स।
चलो वैभव, थैंक यू सो मच। आई थिंक आज की कन्वर्सेशन यहीं पे अपन खत्म करते हैं। इट वाज ग्रेट टॉकिंग टू यू।
बिल्कुल
और अगली बार जब हम कनेक्ट करेंगे तो कॉस्मोलॉजी के बारे में बात करेंगे, जो योर फर्स्ट एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट। सो थैंक यू सो मच। या
Thank you, Vishal. It was great again. It was great talking to you as well.
चलो, थैंक यू, हैव अ ग्रेट डे।
Okay,
बाय।
have a great day. Bye bye.
तो आज की बातचीत यहीं तक। आपको ये बातचीत कैसी लगी प्लीज मेरे को जरूर बताइए, कमेंट्स में बता सकते हैं, आप मेरे को ईमेल भी कर सकते हैं। अगर आप किसी ऐसे इंटरेस्टिंग आदमी को जानते हैं जिसके बारे में आपको लगता है कि मुझे उससे बातचीत करनी चाहिए और उसके एक्सपीरियंसेस हमें इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे शेयर करने चाहिए, तो आप प्लीज वो इन्फॉर्मेशन भी मेरे साथ शेयर करिए। ठीक है, तो आज का यहीं तक, फिर मिलते हैं हम दोबारा बहुत ही जल्द। थैंक यू सो मच, बाय।